So with many 2020 marathon races being canceled left and right, put into training alone, oftentimes at 3 a.m., 4 a.m., and I'm having to deal with what are my goals that I want to set up for myself that are, again, not overly too ambitious, but at the same time, make sure they are within reach of realism of can I be able to project to get there by next year. And so with the last video, I asked you what are your goals for the next 6 to 12 months, right? And then beyond. In this video, again, I want to just discuss very short term. And so again, this kind of goes hand in hand with where I want to be over the next 2 years or 5 years, which is Boston Qualify, getting faster, getting fitter. But that's not at the same time taking away all the things that are needed to get there, right? So even though this is not the case for every single runner, there has been data to show people who have natural talent that they can be able to Boston qualify on their first try. There are certain things that the majority of people, which I'm going to assume I am involved into the average, that we need to take into account when it comes to how to train for a marathon and to improve ourselves to get there to a Boston qualifying time. So for one of which is to create that consistency in your training. So that's going to be my goal for 2020. 40-mile weeks, especially during the summers here in Florida. At times it can be very unbearable, but again, putting that consistency and that aerobic training to your lungs, to your heart, your bloodstream, increasing the mitochondria, increasing the red blood cells that carry oxygen to your muscles, everything, right? So in that consistency, I strive to look for 5 runs a week, approximately about 7 to 8 hours, consisting of mainly an off day on Monday to recover from the previous week's long run. Tuesday would be my first quality run, which would be a speed or interval workout. And depending on what kind of interval workout that may be, it may be 400s, it may be a specific 5 minutes at a certain pace, but that Tuesday workout should be somewhere between 6 to 8 miles. Wednesday and Thursday are going to be my recovery or maintenance runs, in which I'll go at easy pace. And again, with easy paces should be at a pace in which you can carry a conversation. And after 2 or 3 years, that has come to something I'm still trying to figure out with. But again, it should be at a point where you are moving, you are pumping your heart a little bit, but at the same time, you're not creating an overlying stress in which is going to lie over to the next quality session. So that may be between 3 and 5 miles. Friday could either be another maintenance run, or it will be my second quality run, which would be a tempo type day. Again, it'll be roughly covering another 7 or so miles, in which I'll be going over 2 miles warm up, maybe another 1.5 miles as a cool down, but then everything in between is going to be centered on hitting the mileage at a pace in which it is challenging but doable. All right, so that way you're hitting that point in which you can sustain for quite a bit of time, not forever. Again, that's where our maintenance runs, our recovery runs are perfect for, is that it's at a pace we can go forever. But the threshold is at the point in which we are expanding the benefits of our aerobic capacity. Saturday is our last maintenance run, in which we're able to put in the last few miles, maybe about 3 or 4 miles, just enough to kind of get the legs moving around before Sunday's long run. And here again, because my current goal for 2020 is to have a 40-mile training week, that Sunday long run would be somewhere in the realm of 12 to as high as 15 miles. So again, there's a big window between there, between 12 and 15 miles, but again, it depends on the mileages of those previous days, right? So if I'm putting in 8 miles on Tuesday, 5, and 6, well, try to do the math real quick. So that's going to be 18 plus 5 would be 23. So 23 miles, if I put in a 3-mile run on Saturday, that puts me at 26, right? That would mean that it would require me to do a 14-mile long run on Sunday for me to equate to that 40 miles. All right. So again, it depends on the week, right? Some weeks I put in a little bit more intensity on my tempo days or my speed interval days, which would mean slightly lower on my long run. Again, I don't want to make my long run as low as 9 miles or 8 miles. Again, that's not really creating the effect of endurance. But at the same time, there's got to be that wiggle room where you got to put in that benefit for your speed, at the same time the benefit of endurance, because essentially when it comes to qualifying for Boston, you're going to need both. Prior to officially tuning in for a marathon training, again, this is probably the T-minus 4 months before race day, that's where my mileage will expect to increase. So again, looking forward to the next 6 months. Hopefully I'll be officially going into training mode for my Myrtle Beach Marathon in South Carolina. That's where I'm planning to go jump from that 40-mile base building week, right, where I'm getting that consistency and then building up to hopefully 50, 60. And then my goal, which I've currently written for this year, if I can get there, would be to get to 65 to 70 mile peak weeks before, about a couple weeks before the marathon race day. Your goals may be different. Again, my goals, depending on what year it was, were entirely different. 2016, it was losing weight, right? So it was running to lose weight, had to improve my diet. In 2017, it was improving my fitness. So being able to do intervals, right? Instead of just jogging around, right? So that had to be something where I had to improve on as well. 2018, 2019, continuing on the parts of my training that I was deficient on. So again, still nutrition, because I still love my sweets. So I'm still trying to hone in on that. And then 2020 is where I'm seeing a lot of other running YouTubers or people who are professional athletes. They are putting in quite a bit of mileage that I consider a lot of miles, but to them it's low miles because of what they're accustomed to doing. So again, for a lot of Boston qualifiers, they tend to have 60-mile base building weeks, which apparently I'm not there yet. So for me, I know I need to get there. I'm not there quite yet. I'm feeling though a couple years will be away. But again, if you were there, then you know the progression that you're making. Again, the idea would be that every single year, think of it as higher lows and higher highs, right? So that way, every single year, you're essentially your training will be incrementally higher and higher as you get along there. So again, the intention is for you to improve that fitness, but at the same time, that ability to go fast and to perform at your peak on race day. So with that being said, the very last video for next week for goal setting will be on goals that is specifically tied to what I want to achieve in the next 1 to 2 years, 5 years, and then I'll also unveil what my goal might be for the next 10 years. And again, that's a little bit too far, but at the same time, it's always good to put an idea out there. And again, it is just an idea. I'm not sure if I can do it, but I'm going to be throwing that idea out there to you next week on goal setting for the future. Now take care, stay safe, and be well. Thanks.